Hi YouTube, Stick here again, mic test number 2, but I thought I've moved the mic again. I've taken the Black Dawn of Doom off the shotgun mic. It's still up above the camera. I tried a few other settings, but I think this is going to work the best. Ideally, what I'd like to try and get is a USB condenser mic off of SE Electronics, which I should be able to sit right in front of me, which will sound peachy. Anyway, I thought I'd use this video as a quick opportunity, just to spur of the moment thing, to reply to, I can't remember your name. Anyway, you asked me about advice mixing and remixing your band's recordings, and I'll give you a quick rundown of how I would approach it. This is really quick, and it'll be all based upon a guideline as to where to start. So first of all, low frequencies. Bass drum, bass guitar, straight up the middle. Now the bass guitar might have some top end in it, depending if you're a pick player, depending on how it's recorded, DI'd, whatever. But as a rule of thumb, low frequency, straight up the middle. And you want to work the bass guitar with the bass drum. So I would solo these two instruments first of all, and make sure they're not clashing in the mix, so they're not taking up the same sonic space, same frequencies. You know, you want some definition between the two. Don't spend too long on it, because nothing is going to sound great in a mix just because it sounds good on its own. So start off, bass drum at the middle, bass guitar at the middle. I personally would pan drums as you're looking at the drum kit. So imagine you're looking at your drummer. So where's your snare drum? It's slightly to the right, hi-hat slightly to the right, crash cymbal, we'll look at the cymbals in a minute, rack tom slightly to the right, floor tom to the left. If he's got a set of, a second tom, it'll be slightly to the left, and then the floor tom to the left. So you're painting that picture, sort of doom, doom, doom. So as you hear it, da, do, 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 bass drum coming at you in the face. Hi-hats again, slightly over here, but you don't want them over here. How often do you see a drummer with a drum kit, unless it's Terry Bozzio, of course? Hi-hats right over there. Try and think, you're painting a picture of what was there. Overheads, I use 2 pencil mics or large diaphragm condensers overhead. There's quite a few ways to record overhead. I'm going to do more about all this kind of stuff in the future. But I'd imagine you've got pencil mics, pencil condensers. So overhead, you want to try and picture. If you think about it, the centre of the drum kit is the snare drum. So you want the right hand, as you look at the drum kit, overhead on the outside of that cymbal over here, and the left hand overhead on the inside of this cymbal over here. So what you're going to do now is going to get a piece of string, gaffer tape it to the middle of the snare drum, and you're going to check that the same distance, the tip of the condenser, tip of the microphone is the same distance from that snare drum. The snare drum and the bass drum, that's the foundation of your drum kit. Reason being that you want to do a bit of string, you're checking for phasing here. Now if the mics are pretty much the same distance from the snare, bar a nat or two, then the sound when you hit the snare is going to hit both mics at the same time. If one is further away than the other, then it's going to have what's called phasing problems. So the frequency, that sound wave is going to hit that mic, then that mic. So when you play them back together, the frequencies or the waveforms are going to cancel each other out and cause a phasing, and it weakens the sound. Same with bass drum. If you've got a bass drum mic in the bass drum and one out the front, I've forgotten the rule of thumb, distances and stuff, but check for phasing. You flick one in and out phase. It's quite very easy to do in any DAW. There'll be a plugin that does it all. If not, it will be on the channel strip. But you'll find flipping it in or out, one way it will sound weak as a fart, the other way it's going to punch you in the chest. And obviously, depending what you want, usually it's the punching in the chest option you want. So that, got a big black finger. That is how I would approach the drum kit quickly. Guitars, hard left, hard right. It's to taste really. Remember, you're mixing. It's about how you want to hear the sound. And I'm not talking about EQing, compressing and treating these things. All I'm talking about is where I hear stuff in mixes. And obviously the more guitars you've got going on, the harder it is to find a space for all of them. Remember, you've got a frequency range roughly from 20 Hz to 20 kHz. You've got to paint a picture within that. You can't all be huddled around the same frequency range. It's pointless. If you've got every guitar sort of around 2.5 to 3 K, then it's going to be like a, or kilohertz rather, it's going to be just a big mess in the middle. You've got to make space for everything. So your rhythm guitar, you might want a bit fatter, sitting slightly over to the right. Your lead guitar a bit treblier over to the left, so it cuts through, a bit louder in the mix. You know, try and just use your imagination how you hear it. But the biggest thing I would say, if you're, when you're recording a band, imagine you're looking at them. You want them to sound, especially if it's live and raw, you want it to sound like they're in front of you. Remember, if you've recorded a band in a live kind of raw environment, it's going to sound live and raw. You're not going to make it sound like sort of Metallica's Black Album and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's and that's why I did start doing this series on using one microphone to record a track, because it's for beginners and, you know, you guys out there in bands, to get decent material out. I think having one good preamp, one good microphone, one set of ears, alright, and you need a computer of some kind and some decent headphones instead of spending them on shitty monitors. Get some good headphones. You're going to get, you know, good results, and you're going to be able to hear yourself grow as you mix. Because remember, as soon as you start mixing, the rooms are part of the sound. Your monitors, where they sit, your speakers are a big part of the sound. Your headphones are a part of the sound. Furniture affects the sound in the room. How it was recorded, the sound of the room where it was recorded. It's, you know, there's so many bits to the big picture. So yeah, I'd use that as a draft sort of starting point for mixing, and from there try and get a balance right. And then of course, once you want to start adding effects, it gets a little bit more tricky, because you want to, you know, you've got that space thing going on again, and you don't want to have a wash of reverbs going on and all this kind of stuff. And so I'd first of all start really dry, get a good level mix, and shut your eyes, don't look at the screen so much. I know it's easy, hard not to, but you know, this is why faders, I wish I had faders, and this is why you know, people like Eddie and stuff, you watch them work on a desk, it's just amazing to me. I find it amazing, where I have to click, and you think, I'm not using my ears, I'm using my hands, I'm using my eyes, I'm watching the levels on things. I want to use it, and it's hard. You know, once you've done a draft mix, switch the monitor off and listen to it. It's quite challenging. But anyway, there's a real quick bombardment of nonsense. Anyway, the guy who was asking me the question about mixing, if you've got any other questions, feel free to give a shout, and you know, if you want to PM me or whatever, chuck me the files, and you know, we can have a listen. And I'm not going to mix it for you. Obviously I will if you want me to pay me and stuff, but if you chuck me the files, then I can have a listen and sort of, you know, because obviously if the bass drum's recorded poorly or the guitar's poorly to begin with, it's going to be tough for you. But anyway, that was all. It's now 1:15 in the morning. It's very early for me. I'm actually feeling a little bit tired, so I might actually sleep tonight. But if I do another video later, you'll know I didn't. So no 2 AM toast today for those of you who follow me on Twitter. So I'm at Mr. Stick Monkey on Twitter. I'm quite funny on there now and then. That's a lie, actually. I'm not funny at all, apart from my big black finger. Anyway, take it easy all. Stick out. Bye.